and good morning, good afternoon. It's Friday. It's the first Friday of 2024, and that means it's time for our Lunch and Learn, and this is the first Lunch and Learn of the year. And so I'm excited to talk to you about this today. Today we're talking about 7 food additives that are banned in Europe, but they're okay here in the United States. Now, there's going to be a little bit of a mixed review here because don't want to have a conflict of interest, but I want to just kind of be real open and transparent with you. And so as we get down to it, I'll give you more information on that. But today we're going to be talking about why, or maybe, well, I guess why is the right word. Why does Europe ban chemicals that we here in the United States have trouble getting the FDA to look at? And so we're going to talk about some of the politics of that. We're going to talk about some of the finances about that, and then we're going to talk about 7 different ingredients that we have in our food here that make us sick. Now, in my report, there is a testimony of a lady who went to Italy and she had absolutely no gastric discomfort, even though she really has what she would call a gluten intolerance. And you know, if you go to Italy, what do you have? You have all the bread and the pasta and all that, which contains what? Wheat, which contains what? Gluten, all right? So I tell all of my people here as they come in and we are discussing foods and that kind of thing, and they say that they remove gluten from their diet and they feel so much better. Well, yes, because here in the United States, we spray our crops with glyphosate. Glyphosate stays on the seed. We don't spray it once, we spray it twice. And so that glyphosate stays on the seed. We get it in our food and it makes us sick. Now, glyphosate is banned in Europe, and so people that have a quote-unquote gluten intolerance here do not have a gluten intolerance when they go to Europe. Why? It's because they're not gluten intolerant, they're glyphosate intolerant. Nobody's telling you that because it is not in the political, financial best interest that you know about that. So that's why that information is hidden unless you seek it out. I have a personal friend who just spent 2.5 weeks in Rome, and she says she has gastric issues every single day of her life. However, when she was on her European vacation, she had 0 gastric issues. And so you might find here in the United States, you cannot eat certain foods, but if you go abroad, you can eat those foods. Well, I'm going to tell you why that is. So there are food additives that Europe bans that we do not, all right? So European manufacturers make the companies tell you on the label that these additives are in there. So I used to live in Europe. I used to live in Scotland and in England. And I will just tell you, I was not educated as far as food goes. I was very young. I was a young woman in my 20s, newly married. And I would eat XYZ packaged food over here. I would go to the grocery store in Scotland and England, buy exactly the same brand, but it would not be the same taste. One thing that I can remember, and I do not eat this now, so don't send me hate mail, used to, I would eat Kraft macaroni and cheese. Now, I wouldn't make it the way they tell you on the box. I would dress it up and put it in the oven and do all kinds of things to it. Was it still a good food? No, it's not a good food. However, I was not educated at that time. When I lived in Scotland and England, I could find the same blue box at the grocery store, but it tasted absolutely different, and I didn't enjoy it because it wasn't the taste that I grew up with. Why is that? Because the preservatives and flavorings that we are allowed here in the United States are not allowed in Europe. So it changes the taste of everything. So even the condiments like ketchup taste differently, mustard tastes differently. All those kind of things that are pre-processed, we here in the United States are allowed to put different things in there that in Europe they are not. So one of the things we're talking about today is titanium dioxide. Now this is one that is a little bit controversial because I take a vitamin that has titanium dioxide in there. Now I have a paper that is a clinical review that states that titanium dioxide is not a problem unless it is inhaled. So just kind of giving you that. In Europe, titanium dioxide is not allowed. It is used in salad dressings, flour, bread, candy, boxed macaroni and cheese, canned soups, and prepackaged baked goods. They put that in there to give the flour that beautiful white coloring. And the vitamin that I take that has it in there is crystal white. I mean, it is just as white can be. Why do they need to put it in there? I don't know. I've questioned the scientists. They've done all this research, and they've given me a paper that says we absolutely promise you that according to the research, when you take titanium dioxide by mouth, it is not absorbable. It goes right through the system. It's nothing to worry about. However, if you inhale it, then it causes lung cancer, it causes lung tumors, and it causes pulmonary damage, which is lung damage. Okay, so we don't want that. Well, I'm not inhaling it. I'm doing it orally. Don't ask me why they put it in there. I don't know why they put it in there. However, it is a critical element in reaching the conclusion is that we could not exclude genotoxicity concerns after the consumption of titanium dioxide. This was the European Food Safety Association, okay? They are the ones that look at food additives and flavoring. So if you inhale titanium dioxide, it does mess with your DNA, particularly with your lungs. If you take it in a supplement, it is a very minute dose, and I know some of you are going to say, well, I don't want to have any of that, and I do agree with you. However, I have a relationship with these scientists, and I trust these scientists, and they've done exclusive research for 7 or 8 years on these products. So just the reason I'm telling you this is because I'm telling you that titanium dioxide is not allowed in Europe, and yet we allow it here, and I take a vitamin that has that in there, okay? And so I'm just going to be very transparent and honest with you. You've got to look beyond the headlines, and you've got to make the best choice for you. And the titanium dioxide can break down into nanoparticles, which can cause inflammation if it is inhaled. If it is taken orally as a supplement, zero absorption into the tissues. And so Mr. Younes, Y-O-U-N-E-S, who is the chair of the European Food Safety Board, says that after oral ingestion, the absorption of titanium dioxide is very, very low. So that's you got both sides of the fence there. So Thomas Gillian, who is the principal scientist at the Center for Science of Public Interest, explains the findings that directed the CSPI to advise consumers to avoid titanium dioxide. Our concern was that there may be evidence that it might accumulate in our bodies. Now, the scientific paper that I have right here, which is a PubMed article, it says that there is no absorption in the tissues with oral ingestion. So, Food and Drug Administration said this year, 2023, that the available safety studies do not demonstrate safety concerns connected to the use of titanium dioxide as a color additive. Now, again, it doesn't put color in the food. It makes the white white. So it's just like brushing your teeth. You know, we have that AP fluoride-free whitening toothpaste, which I absolutely love. It makes my teeth whiter. This just makes your supplement whiter. So choose to, choose not to. We've got other things if you want other things. So BHA and BHT, this is butylated hydroxyansole and butyrated hydroxytoluene. I may not have said that right. These are used in chips, crackers, cereals, pre-baked goods, things that you buy in a box or a package that are already cooked, okay, and granola bars. They're used in a variety of processed food, and what these preservatives do is they prevent the oils in the food from going rancid. Now, I don't know that I like that. If the oils are going to go rancid, I'm not going to eat it. I don't know that I want that kind of preservative in my food. So these two chemicals, they call them antioxidants because they stop the free radical damage in the food, but they are not to be confused with the antioxidants that we get from our fruits and vegetables, all right? So I don't want to have anything with the BHT or the BHA in there. And these preservatives in food products have been found to have immune effects and are potentially carcinogenic. Dr. Sheila, and I'm going to get this name wrong, so you're going to have to just bear with me, Sathyanararia, who is a professor of pediatrics and environmental health services at the University of Washington and Seattle's Children's Research Institute. She's the one that said that. Both chemicals are anticipated to be human carcinogens. This is from the National Toxicology Program. Both in Europe, both BHT and BHA have certain restrictions. So in here in the United States, they don't have restrictions. So you want to look at that in your ingredients. You want to not have that. Synthetic food colorings. We have tons of food colorings, and if you've done any kind of research in food colorings, it can be, lost my ear. It can be from beetle juice. It can be from, I think there's some kind of beaver something or another that's expressed from their anal gland. I mean, come on, who wants to eat that? So we don't want to have any artificial food colorings. So these are used in candies, sodas, drinks, sports drinks, cake, cupcakes, cupcake frosting, salad dressing, and chips. So they are incorporated in food products to enhance the appearance. They are petroleum-based food dyes. They are yellow number 5, yellow number 6, red number 40 have all been shown to induce behavioral changes and hyperactivity. In one recent study in analyzing 27 clinical trials on synthetic dye, the researchers found that current evidence, quote, supports a relationship between food dye exposure and adverse behavioral outcomes in children, both with and without pre-existing behavioral disorders. In 2021, the California Environmental Agency Protection released a report stating that the current federal guidelines on synthetic food dyes are outdated and failed to acknowledge recent literature showing the negative effects of these dyes. However, while they are saying these things don't need to be in our food and they passed a law to get them out of the food, I don't think it goes into effect until like 2027. So if I had children, and I do have children, but my children are well grown now, when I had children when they were young, we lived in Europe most of the time. And so they were not exposed to these dyes because these dyes just were not out there. Processed food were not a big thing. Fast food was not a big thing. You made everything from scratch and you didn't go out to eat all that often. And when you did, you went to a restaurant that made things right there on the site. So you did not have these preservatives and you did not have the colorants. Now, in this country, I have a lot of family, I have a lot of friends with very young children, and they are not at a socioeconomic level where they can buy everything organic. They cannot shop the perimeter of the grocery store because everything is just too expensive. So they opt for Hamburger Helper, macaroni in the box, and whatever else that they can afford. And I'm not shaming anybody. That's not what this is about. This is about we are poisoning our children because there is a financial incentive for us to buy these prepackaged foods with these additives in there, and we don't want to do that because it is just the political where we are in our nation. I don't want my children poisoned. I don't want myself poisoned. I limit my packaged foods for real. So just throwing that out there. The European Union requires a warning label if you have any of these food dyes, artificial colorants in their food. It has a warning on there. This is a possible carcinogen. And so when you look at that package and you read that information, are you going to feed this to your children? Probably not. So brominated vegetable oils, BVO, all right, they are used in sodas and sports drinks. Now, this is just what it sounds like. It's vegetable oil with bromine added to it. It is incorporated in these beverages as an emulsifier. All right, an emulsifier breaks down the fats and that kind of thing. In 2012, there was an online petition of more than 200,000 signatures that led many companies, including Coca-Cola, to stop using BVOs. Many companies still utilize this emulsifier given that the FDA has not yet prohibited its use. The European Union, on the other hand, has banned it as a food additive. So over there in their sodas, I don't know what you're getting, but you're not getting BVO. Now, do we want you to drink soda? No, we don't want you to drink soda. It takes 8-ounce glasses of water to neutralize the acid in a soda. If you must drink a soda, if you want to drink a soda, and honestly, I do from time to time, I know that I have to follow that with 8-ounce glasses of water to neutralize the acid in a soda. You know, I'm sure you know, that you can take a can of soda and pour it over your car battery and it will eat up all the corrosion on your terminals. You can also take that same can of soda and you can pour it into your toilet and you can get rid of all the rings, all the rust around your toilet. Why? Because it is so corrosive. Now, do we want to put that into our bodies? Well, honestly, sometimes I do. However, because I know it is so corrosive and because I know it's so detrimental, I know that I have to drink 8-ounce glasses of water to neutralize that. All right? BVOs has been associated with neurological diseases. So if you drink a lot of soda, that could be in your future. It also causes reproductive harm, infertility in the animal study. So is that why we're having so much trouble with infertility right now in our culture? I don't know. It could be a contributing factor. So do we want you to drink sodas as a general rule? No. Do we want you to drink sodas every day? No. On the occasion when you do have a soda, you want to make sure that it does not have any BVOs in it. You can look at the label, and you want to make sure that you chase it with a lot of water. All right? BVOs can build up in the body, and research has shown a connection between drinking large amounts of BVO-containing soda over long periods and problems such as headaches, irritation of the skin and mucous membranes, fatigue, loss of muscle coordination, and memory. Now, this is what the Environmental Working Group puts on its website, all of those cautions. The USDA announced a proposal to revoke the authorization of BVO as a food additive in November the 2nd of 2023. Nothing has happened yet, but they're proposing to do that. So write your people, your congressmen, your senators, your federal representatives, and tell them you want this to be on the banned list. There is another additive. The letters are ADA. I'm going to try and pronounce it, so don't send me hate mail if I get it wrong. Azodicarbonamide. I don't know if that was right or not. Bread and baked goods. ADA is commonly used in making a variety of plastics, and it is a bleaching agent in flour-based foods. Animal studies show that ADA could be an organ and cellular toxin, while other research demonstrates that it can cause respiratory distress in humans. The EU prohibits this use as a food additive. In another study, researchers found that rats fed on a diet containing ADA experienced significant behavioral challenges. So if you're someone or you love someone that exhibits all kinds of mental distress, anxiety, general anxiety disorder, whatever label you put on there, behavioral issues, mental issues, all that kind of stuff, you might want to check, are they drinking a lot of soda? Are they having a lot of pre-baked goods in their diet? Because if they are, they could be having these additives that are very, very detrimental to their health. The next additive is potassium bromate. This is used in your flours, your breads, and your baked goods. So is there any wonder, with all of these different additives in our flour products, is there any wonder here in the United States, if we eat pasta, we eat bread, we've got gas and bloating, maybe diarrhea, different things, because of all these additives in the flour, whereas in European countries, these things are illegal, and so the food product is a totally different animal. So this is used, potassium bromate is used to enhance the flavor and the texture of flour-based foods. It has been scrutinized by activists for decades. Small amounts of bromate, a substance shown to be carcinogenic in animal studies, is found in potassium bromate. So that bromate is in there. Well, that makes sense. It was labeled possibly carcinogenic in 1999 by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, and that's what's led to its ban in European countries, although it is still here. Now, in California, it was banned last October. However, the law does not go into effect until 2027. Again, we outlawed it, but we're going to give you a few years to figure out that you don't need to take this before we make it illegal, okay? And don't hear that I'm all for big government. I am not for that. I am for the government needs to protect you. If there's all kinds of studies that show these food additives are detrimental to our health, I do think it is the Food and Drug Administration to protect us. Unless we do the research and we just protect ourselves, which is what I'm trying to do and help you out here. Animals who are exposed to potassium bromate had increased incidences of both benign and malignant kidney tumors. Additional research shows that ingesting potassium bromate resulted in significant increases in thyroid cancer, kidney cancer, and other organs when they did some trials that involved mice. So, I don't want to have cancer. I have parents that had cancer. I have friends that have cancer. I don't want to have that. So I'm going to eliminate these things. Most of these things I have already eliminated from my diet. If I do anything, it's very, very rare, and I do whatever I need to do to get rid of the toxicity, all right? We don't live in the Garden of Eden. Sometimes we're just going to get the nasty stuff. Despite the significant evidence of potassium bromate's harmful health effects, the food industry has long argued that it is of no concern in baked products, the Environmental Working Group reports. So I don't know if you use the Environmental Working Group to look at your ingredients, but it would be a good thing. There's an app on my phone called Think Dirty, all right? And it's all about reading your labels, and it will highlight the ingredients in your food and your cleaning products and your personal care products, your makeup, whatever. It will highlight those additives that are in there that are carcinogenic, and you might want to do a double take. All right, recombinant bovine growth hormone, RBGH. This is used in our conventional dairy products. This is why we don't recommend that you have dairy products unless you make sure that they're organic. Now, Steve and I were in the grocery store a few weeks ago, and he pulled out some milk. He loves milk and cookies. Okay, I don't drink milk, so, that's what he does. He grabbed this milk, and it was regular conventional milk. And I said, no, put that back and get the organic milk. He goes, yeah, but the organic milk is $8. I said, I don't care. Your health is worth the $8. I think it was like double the price of the conventional milk. Why do I not want him to drink conventional milk? Because, as the report's going to show, this RBGH increases breast cancer and testicular and prostate cancers. So I don't want him to have testicular and prostate cancer. So if he's going to drink the milk, I want him to pay the extra dollars to get the milk that is organic, that does not have these extra hormones in there. So these hormones stimulate greater milk production in the cows. Now, the EU banned this hormone in 1999. The primary concern was the influence on the endocrine system. Now, your endocrine system is anything that makes a hormone. So your hypothalamus, your pituitary, your pineal gland, your thyroid, your parathyroid, your thymus, your adrenals, your pancreas, your ovaries, or your testicles, right? All of those produce a hormone. So if you're drinking milk with RBGH in it, you're getting too much hormone that's going to cause hormone dysfunction in your endocrine system, and we don't want that. And that's why we say always get organic if you're going to do dairy. I do cheese. I don't do a lot of dairy. I do eggs, but I get them, cage-free, organic, all that. I don't do milk because I told you I don't do that. I do yogurt, but I get organic, non-GMO. I do cheese, but I get organic, non-GMO, and non-RBGH. Okay, so you can do that. The American Cancer Association says the link between RBGH and cancer is inconclusive, warranting further investigation. So, some research has found a potential relationship between increased blood levels of growth hormone because RBGH use and hormone-related cancers such as breast and testicular cancer are correlated. All right. American Cancer Society says not so much. Make a choice. Make a choice. I'm going to err on the side of caution. It causes a huge number of side effects, the RBGH. This is that Dr. Sandra Santhanaria, okay? She says it causes a huge number of side effects in the cows themselves and potentially has a health risk for humans that consume these cows. Overall, the EU takes a more precautionary approach in banning this substance to prevent impacts on human health, while the United States takes the approach of let's wait and see if anything bad happens. I personally would appreciate a government that would say, you know, there is a potential carcinogen in here. We want to make sure that you know this if you're going to ingest this. We want to make sure that you have other options if you want those other options. I don't want a government that says, may cause cancer, may not cause cancer. Let's just do it and let's just wait and see. All right. So this hormone can be avoided here in the United States if you buy organic. All right. The USDA forbids this use of the RBGH in our dairy products that are labeled organic. So you can be sure that if you buy organic, you're not getting this. So this is really scary to me. You probably have heard the term GRAS, generally recognized as safe. Okay, this is a determination that means that the FDA thinks that these ingredients, whatever they are generally recognized as safe. But what I did not know, and I have a report right here, what I did not know is generally recognized as safe means it's your opinion. If you think it's safe, then yeah, we'll go ahead and say that it's safe. I thought generally recognized as safe meant that it had gone through the testing, it had gone through the processes, it had gone through the trials, and they know that most people, most of the time, it's safe. Not so much. So I'm going to give you this little last tidbit before I go off for the weekend, all right? Manufacturers of chemicals added to the foods are responsible for determining that the use of their products is safe. There are two major legal definitions of chemicals in food. One, food additives, which include ingredients and chemicals indirectly entering the food from packaging and processing equipment. And then two, generally recognized as safe substances, which are mostly the ingredients. Now, the law requires, all right, food additives to undergo approval by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration before they are sold. But GRAS substances are exempted from pre-market approval. So if it's generally recognized as safe, by your opinion, anybody, then the Food and Drug Administration is going to say, we're not going to really test that. All right, that just doesn't make any sense to me, but this is what this report says. The law requires food additives to undergo approval by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration before they are sold, but it GRAS exempts substances from pre-market approval. In 1997, the FDA created a voluntary program for manufacturers to submit their chemical safety determination in the form of a GRAS notice to the agency. Manufacturers make GRAS determinations regardless of whether they voluntarily submit the notice to the FDA for review. Now get this, they rely on their own employees, an employee of a hired consulting firm or a panel of experts known as a GRAS panel, generally recognized as safe, GRAS, to review the safety information. So this would be like me. I'm going to make XYZ supplement. I'm going to give it to my front desk people. They're going to take it. They're going to tell me that, it tastes good and it looks good and it feels good. Why? Because I pay them. And so they're going to say whatever I want to hear, right? So is that really a true and valid opinion? Not really. And so this is what these people They're not using FDA people. They're not using scientific people. They're using people that are under their own financial reward system. And so are we really getting the right information? I think not. It says because this process determines whether a chemical is safe for use in food, conflicts of interest and biases need to be avoided or minimized to credibly ensure that food is safe. Recently, the FDA has published guidelines for industry on best practices to convene GRAS panels to manage conflicts of interest and reduce the biases that have plagued the process. So here we perform a quantitative assessment on the compliance of the GRAS panels with the basic elements of the FDA's guidance. We assessed 403 GRAS notices filed by the FDA between 2015 and 2020 and identified whether a GRAS panel was convened and by whom, who its members are, who it was affiliated with, and the relationship between the panelists and the panel conveners. Then we compared that with the FDA's recommendations against the information included in the notices voluntarily submitted by the manufacturers. This is the kicker. We found no evidence, zero evidence that GRAS panels have adhered to the FDA's guidance. Panels are populated from a very small pool of professionals. We found that 7 panel members alone occupied almost half of all available panel positions, and they're often served together. All right, so what does this mean? This means you cannot trust GRAS, generally recommended as safe. You cannot trust that. So we need to pay attention to what we're eating. We need to pay attention to what we're buying. And honestly, if we just quit buying all this garbage, they'll quit making it because they only make it because they make money because we buy it. So this is a lot of information. This is why our healthcare in the United States is at the bottom, even though we spend the most dollars of all the countries, all the developed countries, we spend the most dollars per capita. Our healthcare is at the bottom of the list as far as outcomes. Now, why is that? That is because of what we are consuming, and we're consuming all of this toxic ingredient. And so we don't want to do that. I don't want you to do that. Yes, go out and enjoy your favorite food. Absolutely do that. However, make sure that you are going through cellular detox regularly, quarterly, a year, every 4 months, every 6 months. 4 months is best. I do it even more often than that because I want to make sure that my temple is clean, and I want to make sure that I'm healthy, and I want to make sure that I can do all the things that I want to do. So that was a lot of information. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for asking questions. I'll get back to you with the answer if I can find it. And I want you to go out and enjoy yourself. It is Friday, the start of the weekend. Self-care, relax, restore, rejuvenate. And I will see you next week at 12 o'clock. Take care.